In this video, we're gonna talk about the day where I left during an investor meeting. It was not this meeting, this is Kevin, and he works for me.
A French entrepreneur,
the CEO of Lemless,
un entrepreneur pas comme les autres.
These guys have grown from nothing. You're like getting to crazy numbers.
while remaining bootstrapped and profitable.
150 million.
Hey Jay.
Back in 2018, I was convinced that to grow a successful company, you had to actually fundraise, so get money from investors. And to me, every investor that I was meeting was like a god, you know, like they were the gatekeepers to success. My vision was that every investor was actually someone extremely smart that knew everything about a specific industry. Because if you're gonna invest millions into a company, obviously, you're gonna be forced to know exactly the ins and outs of every industry. Over time, I had the chance to actually meet with many investors. And in this video, I wanted to tell you the day that I actually left during an investors meeting. To me, meeting with investors is something really interesting because you have a lot of people with a lot of knowledge because they're supposed to meet with a lot of different companies. They should have in general like a much bigger vision on the industry and on pretty much like everything around it. But after meeting with a lot of them, I realized that investors are exactly the same as people in real life, which means that you have really good investors and you also have really bad ones. People who have absolutely zero knowledge of the industry, who are just like having chat with founder to get insiders information, but not really like treating people with respect. And on the other hand, you have like amazing ones that are super friendly, super helpful, and that don't always think about in which company they're gonna invest, but more about, you know, meeting people, exchanging, discussing and sharing ideas about specific things. And to me, this is where you actually can get the most out of the people you are meeting with and exchanging. So what exactly happened during this meeting? Essentially, like an investor reached out to me, telling me that he was super interested in learning more about what we were doing at Lemless. He wanted to understand the ins and outs. The guy told me that he was interested in the space and that, you know, he wanted to chat, exchange tips, etc. So during our chat, I was being super transparent, sharing numbers, sharing what was working for us, etc. And after 25 minutes, he kept asking me questions, and whenever I was asking him a question, he was not really answering until I asked him, okay, like, what do you think of the space, etc. And then he told me, well, I have actually invested in one of your competitors. So I was like, okay, fair enough. So I didn't really enjoy the fact that he didn't tell me at first that he had invested in the competitors. They didn't announce it yet. So he was basically like trying to get as much information as he could from me. And then afterwards, when I asked him, okay, like, I mean, you ask about our acquisition strategy and all these things. So what is your view on this? And he's like, well, you know, with the other company, it's very different and I really don't want to disclose it. So then I asked him like, okay, so it's been basically 25 minutes that you've been asking me for a lot of information and you're not sharing anything in return. And then he was like, well, no, it's really not like this. It's just like I have a conflict here or whatever. So I just decided to leave the meeting. And in the end, after chatting with other investors, I realized that this person didn't really have a good reputation. He works in a very famous VC fund, and maybe if he watches the video, he will recognize himself. But the truth is that this type of situation travels really fast, especially in the world of founders. So for any investors, it's not really a smart move to do this type of thing because founders talk between each other, and over time, especially in any business, if you want to win big, you need to stay here for the long run. And to me, the biggest learning was like, no matter who you're talking to, try to always treat them like respectfully. But if they are like pushing the limits and if they are not doing the same to you, you are in your own right to just do this type of thing. So essentially that's kind of like why I left. And in the end, it was a bit reassuring to me that even when I started talking with other investors, they kind of were exactly thinking the same as I was. And again, whenever you're doing like your investor review, if you want down the line to raise fund and do these things, make sure that you chat with them and chat also with other founders that they had chat with, just to make sure that you are dealing with the right type of person. You don't want to have people who are misleading and who are doing things behind your back. You'd rather work with people who are just like straight to the point and very frank in the thing they do. And if you want to keep getting updates on our stories and what we do at L'Empire, make sure to subscribe to the channel so we can become best friends. Have a lovely day. Love you all. Take care. Ouais, ça roule. Merci.